Hello, welcome to the Impersonal Opinion Podcast, the show where we don't take our opinions personally. I'm Chandler Klebs, and today I'm here with George Ortega, Jamie Soden, David Joseph, and Will, and we all have our impersonal opinions. And and for those who are listening for the first time and wonder what an impersonal opinion is, well, first tell me what a personal opinion is, and I'll get back to you on an impersonal opinion because we understand that, hey, it's not really up to us the opinions we have, but the universe compels us to have the opinions we have based on our biology and environment. So this podcast is just sort of where we talk about what's on our mind and how we feel about certain things, and nobody blames anybody or hates anybody for having a different opinion. So that's what I mean. And our friend Will has some very strong opinions about the Apple company. So perhaps he could lead off with that while each of us are thinking about what topic we might want to talk about.
My opinion on Apple is like I said, man. I just have a problem if you're gonna charge a premium price, give me a premium item. Is that too much to ask?
So what you're saying, Will, is you don't think that for the money that Apple charges for their devices that it's really worth it for the product you
Nope.
get. Yeah, I sort of get what you're saying
Oh,
there.
there's like this one story, right? I was up here in this job, right? And this dude, for iPhone 6 Plus, he paid $1,300 for.
Good
And I'm
God.
thinking, like, what? Dude. Then I saw this dude getting off the bus and said, dude, 1,300, you could get you a hoopty or something. I got 1,300 to spend. I guarantee you, I wouldn't be taking something. Or Metro Transit Authority, wherever you call it over there in New York. But yeah,
Oh man,
Yeah, Will,
I could never imagine paying that much or something like that.
I gotta agree. I gotta agree. I mean, I've got a few Apple things because, like, a couple of the apps that I use are designed for Apple. So, like, I had to get some because of that. And yeah, they work fine, but like, I don't see them like working any better or I mean, I had some pretty inexpensive a couple of like one I paid $20, another $80 just like Android tablets. And so like I've got an iPad whatever mini that works. It's faster, but I'm guessing if I would have paid $150 for an Android, it would be about on par with the Apple. So I agree with you. I think like it people are basically paying for image and name and prestige. A lot more than just product.
And you know what I think is that it's all about what are you going to be using the device for, and I think that is what really determines, how you look at it as to what you're willing to pay for it. Because if you just need something to check your email, then you don't need to spend $1,300.
Yeah, I think there's
yeah.
also a case of perceived obsolescence as well. It's one of those companies that keep making people buy the latest gadget, the latest, the latest iPhone. You get the iPhone 6, and then you're going to get the iPhone 7 and the iPhone 8, and they're going to come out just months between each other, and there's not going to be that much of a difference between them. Yet it's going to be perceived as the last one being obsolete, so it's like a need-to-have gadget.
Just bringing this free will thing into it just a bit. In other words, like they know that the marketers, advertisers, they understand how to push our buttons so well. They know exactly what to say to make us like buy their products. It's kind of scary.
It really is. It's true that the advertising and the messages that they feed to our unconscious that we're not even aware of makes us buy things. And we understand that it's not our choice when we buy these things.
Yeah, yeah. You need to upgrade to the iPhone 6 as soon as possible.
iPhone 6 still have crappy specs. I'm sorry. For the price, their specs are not good. I mean, why are you still using a dual core?
Yeah. I'll just wait like 10 years, and then I'll get an iPhone 11 for under $50.
I've got an Android phone that has a quad core in it.
Yeah, my Android has a quad in it.
It's crazy. And I gotta say, guys, come on. The iPhone 4 has 512 megabytes of RAM, and I'm like, come on, that is really. But come on, I've got over 2 gigabytes of RAM on my laptop, and that only costs brand new $300.
You know my cell phone has 2 gigs of RAM, right? See?
Whoa.
See my point?
Yeah,
Same for
I
mine
can't.
has. Yep.
I can't imagine why they charge so much when their RAM is so low.
Like I said, I wouldn't rip them so hard if it were worth the price, and people wouldn't just gulp it up like slack-jawed yokels saying it's the best thing ever. That's how you see. That's why it makes me think. Okay, it's the best thing ever. Okay, what makes it the best thing ever?
Yeah.
I don't see nothing.
My phone has very similar specs to the iPhone 6, but it costs a fraction of a price.
You know what really annoys me though is I feel like the mobile market has ruined the desktop gaming market because they like seriously they keep updating all these game apps for the iOS and Android devices, but then there's Windows 8 apps like the My Little Pony Windows 8 app, which is way outdated. Like it's really old. Like and I'm like, come on, can't they update it a little bit to match what I have on iOS?
You know what I'm upset with recently? Like I read this article that says that like on the Apple, I think like the iPads, maybe iPhones also, they have this blue light coming from the screen, and apparently they have research that says the blue light disturbs sleep patterns. And so I've been using this stuff a lot for the last month, and I haven't been sleeping really well. So I'm wondering if that's part of contributing. I mean, like, there's an app that'll like, you can download, it'll emit reddish light that doesn't have that effect, and it's for free. And I don't understand why iPhone still, it has, I would think that they could like, basically, create that redness even to their, existing devices.
You would think so. I mean, that's weird. I never heard of such a thing as a blue light that would disturb your sleep, though.
Yeah, I
I
just read
never
about
heard
it
of that
recently.
either.
I
Why is
just
it?
read
Why
that.
is it? Number two, one. Why is it disturbing your sleep?
Oh God, I don't know. There's some physics. Who knows? I don't know.
Yeah, this
Come
is
on, guy.
mysterious, man. Yeah, I yeah, I think my sleep has been disturbed for entirely different reasons, though.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah. Perhaps, are there any other topics that we might want to share our opinions about?
Yeah. Do you a game? But I don't know.
Well, George Ortega brings up an interesting point. I mean, certain companies out there, well, probably all of them, acknowledge that at some degree, people will just fall for all these scams.
Hmm.
Yeah, and that's another is like they used to have laws against subliminal advertising. I think like back in the 50s they discovered like for example at the drive-in movies, if they flashed let's say some French fries or a soda, you know, sometimes like along the movie where it was so fast that people didn't see it consciously, but their unconscious saw it, that they found that could increase sales, so they made that illegal. But in today's political climate, I'm guessing that may actually be legal now. So like you
I
may
think that's
have.
how Apple sells. I think that's true.
Yeah.
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 And these meat companies. What was you saying about them, Chandler?
Oh yeah. What you'll notice is that and this I think the USDA and of course the companies themselves, they have so many advertisements promoting meat as a healthy source of protein and saying that calcium in milk is good for your bones, even though I've actually read stuff to the contrary of how animal protein can actually damage your bones and stuff. But these companies, they're biased. They're trying to sell a product. And so, of course, they're going to tell you that great cheese comes from happy cows and that happy cows come from California. But in reality, those cows are probably not so happy where your milk's coming from.
Hmm. I doubt it.
And companies would sometimes say to you that the eggs come from free-range chickens, But one of the videos that I saw where they keep chickens at farms and stuff, they keep them all in cages. They keep them in such confined spaces. It's unbelievable.
Oh, Jamie, you're so right. Like in the United States, they can label, product free range. If, for example, let's say they have an entire airplane hangar, full of chickens, right? And then they have a doorway that leads to maybe, let's say, a 12-yard by 12-yard little plot of grass that no chickens ever go to. They can call that free range legally. That is like so deceptive, so wrong.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's very deceptive because come on, who could possibly enforce regulations on all these various companies who are using dishonest practices and labeling, which leads you to think that they're treating the animals one way when that's not the case.
And that's just the tip of the iceberg. You even want to know what they actually put into their food once they finish with the process and all.
Oh,
Yeah.
believe me, I know. Like, I've seen some videos about what goes into meat, and it's like, oh, it's just sick.
Yeah. There's this one YouTube video I was watching a while back, and correct me if I'm wrong, but doesn't the American law allow rodent hairs in meat products?
A certain percent, yeah. It's gross.
Mm,
And
Oh.
yeah, you probably didn't want to know that, Jamie.
and we have regulatory agencies that are supposed to oversee the food industry, but these regulatory agencies are staffed by former employees of these meat companies. Former top level employees.
Translation: bullshit loopholes.
It's like, oh God.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had to say.
Loopholes.
Yeah, oh, that's crazy, man. There's so much. I mean, people have their agenda, and I mean, come on. Obviously, you know that the people who are going to be regulating these factory farms and
Going
other
to get
stuff like
paid off.
what?
Are going to get paid off.
Yeah, they're going to get paid off. They can be bribed. And aside from that, it's not like America is full of a whole bunch of vegans in in these positions. Those people, they consume these products too, you can bet. And they say that, well, God put these animals on this earth so that we could eat them. There are people who say that.
Yeah, guys, and
Oh
like,
yeah, I know.
so we've been complaining about stuff that's wrong, right? And so here's the thing. So like, we're complaining in terms of people, the Apple, CEOs or whatever, these people who are doing this, but we know that actually it's the universe or God or something. So like, my question is like, I can't fathom why the universe would do that, why the universe would make all these kinds of things that are wrong just continue to be wrong, and it just makes no sense.
But isn't that a bit like asking why is the sky blue or why is the grass green?
Well, yes, but I have, David, I have no problem with the sky being blue or green.
Right.
I have a problem with pain. That's the only thing. I would think like, again, like
Oh, wait,
to
yeah,
my
but shit
mind,
goes fucking red,
I
like in
don't
the
know.
Batman series.
David, like I guess maybe there's a reason why the sky is blue and like, but I'm thinking like I tend to be somewhat of a pantheist, so I'm thinking like this universe made it and fine, but like why would the universe that's like that has the capacity to make human beings like us that are so intelligent, whatever? Why would the universe do all that, make us do all this stuff is wrong? I don't get it.
Well, yeah, it's certainly a problem, George, because even though we know the universe can't have free will, what is the cause of pain? You have to wonder what's the cause of that. And that's my problem too, because I gotta tell you guys, if we were in a universe where nobody felt pain, why would I care? Like, I wouldn't have these things to complain about abortion or about the factory farms and these animals. If they weren't feeling pain, I don't feel like I would have a case to complain.
Yeah, and I don't like
Yeah.
when people are discriminating for their sexuality and stuff like that. And there's so many problems surrounding sex. I mean, wouldn't it? I'm starting to think now. Maybe life will just be better without it. Like, eliminate the sex gene and replace it with cloning.
Yeah, Jamie and I have been talking about that recently,
Or
and
bioengineering.
Yeah, because it's too much like crap involved with sex. I mean, you got the problem with rape. You've also got gays being persecuted for being gay. Because Christians say it's a sin to be gay or bisexual or whatever. It's just stupid.
yeah, it's sort of weird, Jamie, because I'm sort of against sex the same way I'm against alcohol and cigarettes and cars. I recently uploaded a video to YouTube titled "Anti-Sexual" and talked about why I'm anti-sexual. Because I agree, it just causes more problems. It's like a drug, and it just ruins people, and that becomes their concern. And it doesn't matter who they hurt as long as they keep having sex.
Especially in the black community.
But it
Trust
can
me, you
also be.
seen what I seen, you will have nightmares.
Yeah, I mean, think about this. I mean, without the sex gene, not only would you see like sex-related bigotry disappear, but you'll also see rape disappear as well.
Yeah, and what's interesting about it is, like I happen to think that there would be no problem. Like let's just say that I find a magic lamp and a genie grants me 3 wishes. Like that.
First one, world peace.
Yeah, that was an awesome film, man.
Yeah, Aladdin was an awesome movie, and I ever since I saw that movie, I thought, well, if I got 3 wishes, what would I wish for? So here's my thing: is first of all, I would probably, actually, that might be my top wish. Is just for everybody to permanently lose the desire for sex, and that will solve all our problems because we'll all just stop existing after everyone dies out because no reproduction. So it's a brilliant plan.
Yeah, because basically, like, we have this, like, I mean, like, sometimes I think, yeah, the world has so many problems, and like, so like we keep on like adding new generations that have problems, and like, I mean, like, when we die, we either cease to exist or we have a soul that continues, eternally, right? So like, so if we die and we cease to exist, then I'm not sure it matters all that much whether we're here 80 or 100 years or or don't exist at all. I mean, like, relative to like billions of years before and ahead of us. But like, if we have a soul, then then that leads to the question, like, maybe this kind of like material carnal existence was kind of like an evolutionary blip or mistake. So we might all be better off, like, after we make this transition into whatever comes next.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because the way I look at it is that we're only here for a short time, um, but for me, I don't care about an afterlife. I just want to avoid pain, like any other organism does. I'm very anti-pain, and I just find that certain problems such as free will belief or sex or other forms of religion and any type of false belief in general
Well,
tends
we obviously are single and we're happy that way. I mean, we don't need sex to keep us going. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because you know what? People who don't have sex have a lot more time to record podcasts.
Yeah.
Best pro virginity argument ever. um, but yeah,
I think the solution to the whole sex problem is just to eliminate the gene completely and replace it with cloning, and that way we'll have a lot less problems than we do now. I mean, that's my reasoning. That's my logic. There you go.
yeah. I mean, I'm not exactly sure why we need to clone, but okay.
Well, to keep the species going, but apart from that, nah.
Right. And my thing is the only species that it would be worth keeping around is a species that experience only pleasure and no pain. So it'd be a different species. It wouldn't be us.
Wouldn't they wipe themselves out though? Because if they can't feel pain, then they might hurt themselves and they might not realize it.
Well,
You know?
That's why I'm looking at bioengineering. You know you're doing wrong, but you won't be hurtful. Like, no,
yeah, and
Some
it's kind of
No,
interesting.
but with bioengineering, you'd still have to make them able to feel like injuries, so that they don't keep injuring themselves.
Well, I don't know. I still think it's better
That's
to
what the
eliminate.
sensors are for. But yeah.
Yeah, I still think it's better to eliminate all pain because there's no problem. Because without pain, even if they do wipe themselves out because they don't realize they're injured and something like that, if they're not feeling any pain, then there can be no complaint. So,
Well, David, another way to respond to that, because yeah, I think pain may be kind of like an evolutionary mistake. In other words, like pain is a messenger, and you're right. It basically it helps us to not hurt ourselves, right? To keep ourselves healthy and all. But theoretically, we could have evolved a different kind of messenger that gives us the same information. Beware. Don't touch the hot stove and all that stuff. That doesn't hurt. So in other words, like I have a feeling like if human beings are around, let's say 500 years from now, 1,000, a few thousand years from now, I imagine we will by
If
then have evolved the ability to transcend perhaps, all most, if not all, pain.
I
I'm
sure hope
convinced.
so. Yeah. And anybody who wants to find a way to eliminate pain, I'm all for it.
mm-hmm.
Actually, that might be psychopharmaceutical because, like, one thing, like, I don't know how completely accurate this is, but like a lot of like yogis and gurus and stuff, they get to a state where like they're just like, I wouldn't doubt that they're able to actually sometimes just like transcend that entire pain experience. Yeah. So like maybe with a
I
pill,
do see
some
a
kind of.
reason in there, George. I mean, theoretically, we could have evolved to not inflict pain on others. Is that what you're saying?
I Not just that,
Yeah,
theoretically.
definitely.
For example, all
That,
right, if I touch my hand on a hot stove, the heat and the pain is going to like make me remove it very quickly, right?
Hmm.
Now I can conceive of some messenger telling me, wow, if the faster you remove your hand, the better it's going to feel. Without it, so it's going to induce me to remove really quickly, but without involving any pain at all. That's my point. Yeah.
Yeah. Another important thing though is what if somebody else is throwing you into a fire? Then it's completely useless because no sensor or pain does you any good because you just burn up and die.
you would actually still die. But yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
As long as it's
because you will feel a fire. At this point, you will feel a fire. But like I said, the fire is taking up all the oxygen, and there's no more oxygen. Then how you gonna survive that?
I wouldn't say pain was an evolutionary mistake, but the problem with psychopaths or sociopaths was an evolutionary mistake because there's just people out there who like to inflict pain and they get off on that. Yeah.
of course if there was no pain they couldn't do that.
Mm. Well, you could say that, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it is interesting because it does seem that pain is the only problem that we really have because at a certain level, the reason that I even bother with even the free will topic once it gets down to it is just the idea, well, a lot of pain is caused by this harmful belief and retribution and all that. So without pain, this podcast probably wouldn't exist. Neither our free will science or religion podcast or our impersonal opinions. In fact, I don't think that I don't think religion would exist either if there was no pain, because people would just if the people were
hmm
because if people were just blissed out in this life and experienced no pain, they'd be like, hey, life is great, and then they die and they wouldn't care what happens to you after you die necessarily. But it seems that religion is often an escape into a belief of another world where they will experience bliss after they die.
A thought came to me sometimes, like, like I used to do a happiness show, and like I'd advocate for happiness, and maybe even like creating a happiness pill that, we have
Happy
antidepressants.
pill.
Yeah, we have antidepressants that like will take somebody from being depressed to like being average, right? We
What
we
about
don't
what
we
about
don't
ecstasy?
Well, yeah, and there you go, Dave. Absolutely. So I think maybe we do have them now. I think with ecstasy and some other, I haven't like researched them that much, but it may be that there may be a downside to some of these things. But like imagine engineering something like ecstasy without a downside, right? So So you take it every morning like you take a vitamin pill or something. Everybody gets blissed out. Now, the point I'm getting at is some people would say that, well, that wouldn't be great because so everybody'd get blissed out and that would get boring. Now, the point that I generally make when people say that is like, wait a minute, if somebody's blissed out every moment of every day, by definition, that couldn't be boring. There'd be no room, in that for any kind of boredom. So and I think people kind of say that sometimes because it makes them feel better. It's kind of like there's that thing of the sour grapes attitude. They can't reach the grapes on the trees, so that they say to themselves, we don't want them anyhow. They're sour.
Right.
So, but yeah, but I think a happy pill, that would be awesome.
But wouldn't it have to get progressively stronger and stronger? Like the idea of looking forward to having a meal once a month, a really top class meal. But if you had it every day, it becomes boring and it becomes almost normal. So you have to.
Well, David, I get your point, but there's a kind of there's a mechanism within our brain that makes that happen. So this pill would apparently kind of circumvent that mechanism we have. So yeah, it would override that. Yeah.
Put me down for a dozen.
I can't imagine being blissed out ever being boring. I just can't imagine that. If you're blissed out, you're not bored. Yeah. I mean, I think that would be the biggest thing ever, is if there was a way for people to just be blissed out.
Yeah,
It's like being high constantly.
Yeah, because Aristotle said happiness is the only end in life. Everything else is a means. He also said happiness is the highest good. So yeah.
Yeah, well, you know what, George? A lot of people disagree with that. Because their argument is well, a lot of people aren't happy, therefore there has to be another purpose besides happiness to life. And I find that.
Yeah. Well, they're equating to, people they don't want to raise the minimum wage because, they talk about they'll cause everything else to go up, but, economy, yeah.
It's kind of weird because I really do think happiness is the highest good, because I can't imagine what more there could be. Because beyond being happy, what could make you happier than being happy?
Right, or why would anyone want anything if it's not for the happiness of oneself or of others?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that seems like that's all it's about. It's either about yourself or it's about making other people happy, which makes you happy too. I mean,
Yeah.
so for me, that's purpose enough. I find that idea of purpose is enough for life to have a meaning. And people say, well, we should kill people before they're born because they're not going to have a happy life. And it's just that, well, why not restructure things so that everybody is happier? Because if you have to kill people to prevent them from having a sad life, then let's all kill everybody. That's the problem that I have with that, is that there's got to be another way that we can achieve happiness. And because if we all just die, then we're not happy either. So it's kind of an interesting thing. So yeah, we've been talking for a while. So are you guys talked out, and should I end it, or did you have something more to say?
I was going to end with a quote from Charles Bukowski. Have you heard of him, George?
No, I haven't.
No, I think he was quite a famous guy. He was kind of drunk most of his life, I think. But he said, "Find what you love and let it kill you."
Yeah.
What? Wow, that's a great quote to end this with, I think. Find what you love and let it kill you. What? Okay. Anybody else have anything else, or is that it?
I think usually it's women. We find women and they kill us.
Maybe that can be our next personal opinion topic. Okay, I guess I'll end this one, but this was great, guys. Okay, you've been listening to Impersonal Opinion, the podcast where we don't take our opinions personally. It's been sort of relaxed and fun talk, and so if you've been listening, I hope you've enjoyed too. Bye bye for